Welcome to the Trust Factor Radio, bringing you interviews and insights to unlock the power of the subconscious mind to create authority, credibility, and trust. With your host, the Authority Architect and best-selling author, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today my guest is Dan Goldstein. Dan is the president and owner of Page One Solutions, LLC, which is an internet marketing company specializing in website development and digital marketing for attorneys, doctors, and dentists. In addition to website design and development, Page One handles the SEO and pay-per-click campaigns for its clients, as well as designing and managing social media and display advertising campaigns. Page One also writes content and produces videos for his clients, and Dan has written numerous articles and given many presentations on internet marketing for professionals. Dan is also a licensed attorney, and he lives in Colorado with his wife, Diane, where they enjoy outdoor activities, including hiking and camping. Well, Dan Goldstein, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Neil. Good to be here.
Well, I am very excited to just find out all what you're doing for these doctors, dentists, and attorneys that you work with, and what kind of special kind of problems that they have. Are they the same as other companies, or are they different? Tell me, Dan, what kind of issues do these doctors, dentists, and attorneys have, and why do they come to you?
Sure. I think that there are a lot of similarities between what our clients deal with and what other businesses deal with in terms of their internet marketing. I'd say the one big difference is that in the case of our clients, they're all marketing specific services as opposed to products. So an attorney, in my case, it's almost all plaintiff personal injury attorneys, or a plastic surgeon or an ophthalmologist. They're providing services to their customers. It could be, it could be a facelift for a plastic surgeon, or it could be representation in an auto accident lawsuit in the case of an attorney, as opposed to other businesses that are selling specific products. So it's a little bit different when you're marketing a service versus marketing a product. But some of the same issues probably are present in both.
So tell me, what are the different issues then when it comes to marketing a service? Because obviously, there's a few other people in the city that are offering the same service. So how do you market specifically that service for that doctor, for example?
Right. Well, first off, just to clarify, we actually work with our clients throughout the country, throughout the United States, and also in Canada. We have a few other clients outside of those two areas, but almost all of our clientele is throughout North America. In terms of what's different is it's really important for our clients to engage with, to make a connection, preferably by phone, with their prospective customer. Whereas in the case of a product, if you're selling, fill in the blank, if you're selling a soccer ball, you can buy that soccer ball online, you can look at reviews, and you can place your order online and have it shipped to you, and it's there in a few days. In the case of a service, the business actually needs to find a way to connect with that potential customer, preferably over the phone or possibly in person, but preferably over the phone initially, so that they can have the opportunity to form a connection that encourages the customer to choose that practice, whether it's a law firm or a plastic surgeon or a dentist, to choose that business's practice versus one of the competitions. And so The key thing that we try to do is to create enough interest and engagement to get the prospective customer to actually pick up the phone and call the practice, or even if they send an email or connect via online chat, the goal is always to get that prospective customer on the phone, because it's only on the phone where the practice has the opportunity to convert the prospective customer into a live patient or client.
So really, you're trying to drive calls as much as possible. Now, you mentioned in the intro there that you produce videos for the clients. Are videos really important to let them see the actual person that they'd be dealing with?
I think they are. I think that videos are tremendously important right now for a couple of reasons. Number one, videos occupy a huge proportion of the bandwidth and the time that that people are spending online. They're watching videos. So people are very comfortable with that video. But then, as you mentioned, it also gives the prospective client or prospective patient an opportunity to connect with the lawyer or the doctor on a little bit more of a personal level. So it's not just impersonal text that they have to read from a page. They actually get a sense whether they can feel like they can have a rapport with that lawyer or that doctor before they contact the practice. So video is hugely important. One other thing, just going back to the phone call issue that I'd like to mention, is we found it to be extremely important to highlight the phone number and really direct the users, the visitors to the website, direct them to make the phone call. And you can do that graphically by kind of forcing the attention of somebody who's visiting a website to a phone number versus forcing them to a contact form to fill out. So we make a big effort at every stage of what we do to really drive the phone calls.
So the whole website design and development is extremely important. Like you say, the main call to action is to drive people to make that call. What other things do you put on the website that is going to make people make that call that might elicit some kind of trust so that they will make a decision?
Really good question. For starters, obviously the way you design the website to make it user-friendly and to drive people's attention where you want it to go, that's the starting point. But it's also extremely important that you have content that really addresses a prospective customer's interests and needs. So typically what you're wanting to do is to make sure that you're able to answer questions that a prospective customer might have. In doing that, you're demonstrating a level of expertise that builds trust and confidence, so that if that customer feels that level of confidence, they're more likely to make the phone call. You can do that with content that is text-based. You can do that with graphical content, and you can do that with video content, as we were just talking about. And in some cases, there is a combination. We use infographics and what we refer to as minfographics, which are just very small graphic text snippets that really highlight reasons why somebody on the website might be interested in taking the next step and contacting the lawyer or the doctor or the dentist.
Now, I noticed I'm looking at your website, pageonesolutions.com, and I noticed you have a pop-up that comes up after a few seconds. Is that something that you do with your clients also?
We do that sometimes. That pop-up actually refers to a book that I wrote a couple of years ago, which is still very on target and on point today, and is probably something that if anybody's interested in online marketing, it would be worth downloading the book. It's free. They can download the ebook directly on the website. As you pointed out, it's a pop-up. The reason that we do that is twofold. Number one, we believe that it's really valuable content and important for a potential client of ours to understand all the different opportunities that they have online, and as well as how all those different things work together. The book's actually entitled Win with Multi-Channel Digital Marketing. So it talks about the different channels of online marketing that are there that weren't there, frankly, when I started the business in 2001. Back then, you build a website, maybe you did a little search engine optimization, and you were done. Now, you can't stop there because of social media, video, paid advertising, display ad. There's all kinds of different channels and opportunities for you. And so ideally, you try to take advantage of the ones that do best, that will do best in your particular situation, given your market and your target audience. Now, in terms of, do we do that same thing for our clients? In some cases, yes. But in order to do that, the client really needs to have something meaningful to give away. In this case, what we're talking about is this book that I wrote, Win with Multi-Channel Digital Marketing. Not a lot of our clients have written books like that, so it's a little bit harder to do it. What we do instead, though, is we've created premium content, which is downloadable content that really gets a little bit deeper and further answers questions that a consumer might have about that doctor or that lawyer's practice and the services and procedures that they offer. And so what we do there is we'll have maybe several white papers or checklists or some kind of more substantive content that goes beyond what's on the website. And in order to get that content, the visitor has to provide their email address, and that just simply allows for a series of follow-up emails by the practice.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as getting content on the website, you've mentioned a few times it's about answering the questions that the clients may be asking themselves. How do you find out what those questions are?
Well, that's actually really one of the key pieces there. With every single client, we do a tremendous amount of research, just up front before we even sign up the client, and then even after we've signed them up as we're getting started. We're really analyzing data and looking at what queries are being presented by the customers viewing the website. And then we do, or even if they're not viewing the website, they might be asking questions on Google, and the website may be showing up on page 2 or 3 for those questions, but not showing up on page 1. But we can look through Google Search Console and get a really good idea of the kinds of questions that Google sees on a regular basis. And then we try to make sure that we have content that answers those questions in a thorough way, preferably content that is more in-depth and more helpful to a consumer than the client's competitors. When we do that, we benefit in 2 ways. First, we provide information that allows Google to see, oh, this website has great information. I'm going to display it when somebody puts in a query about this topic. The second thing is that when a consumer actually gets to the website, they have an abundance of information that answers the questions that they have, so they're less likely to leave the website and go somewhere else to look for it. So it really does come down to researching that information up front and then on an ongoing basis. And then the other thing that I would say that comes really a very close second and probably is equally important is making sure that you have content providers who could be that could be done via written content, or it could be done on video, or it could be done on social media, who really understand the nature of the practice that the website is promoting. In other words, the nature of our client's practice. And so for that reason, we have a team of writers, we have a team of social media specialists, we have video. All these people have specific expertise and knowledge in the very narrow verticals that we target for our clients. And because of that, because we're able to focus on these very specific verticals, our staff becomes pretty expert in what works and what doesn't work in those areas across a number of different cities and markets throughout the country, US and Canada, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it's great to be able to have a vertical like that where you really know what the clients are looking for, what kind of questions that they're asking, and really does make you the expert rather than a generalist that might do all kinds of marketing for all kinds of different companies. Now, let's talk about the search part a little bit more, because if we're driving calls, one of the great areas for driving calls is that Google My Business 3-pack. Does that work well for the doctors, dentists, and attorneys that you work with as well?
Yeah. So the 3-pack would be the map listings, or what are sometimes we're referred to as Google Places or Google Local. The name's changed over time, but yes, that is critical. Basically, the way Google organizes its search results is you have the paid AdWords, now called Google Ads, at the very top, usually 3, sometimes 4 listings at the top. Then you have the map with usually 3 listings on the map. Those are, in my case, lawyers' offices, dental offices, plastic surgery offices, ophthalmology offices that are nearby where the user is typing in the query. And then following that is the organic listings. So our priority is always to get into that map, into that Google map box. And we have a few ways to do it. Obviously, there are organic ways, which is traditional search engine optimization. A lot of the things that we do for the organic section, which is immediately below the maps, also work to help get our clients higher placement in the maps listing, ideally in the top 3. One thing that we do know, though, is that with maps, location is really key. And so if a client is outside of a market, they're less likely to show up in the maps results than they are if the client is centrally located in the market. So that's a starting point, but it's not the end. It's not the end point. And then there are some ways to actually get into the maps results through paid listings. And so we've been able to take advantage of that for some of our clients as well.
Yeah, because really, like you mentioned, you've got the paid ads at the top, and then you've got the map pack, which is 3, sometimes 4, and then you're almost below the fold before you get to the organic. And how many opportunities are there to get in the organic section, especially with all these directories that seem to be showing up nowadays?
Right. Obviously, the higher up on the page you are, the better. But not everybody clicks on the paid ads, which are right at the top. In fact, most data shows about somewhere around 20% of viewers actually click on that. The rest skip over the paid ads, go right to the map, and then in some cases they go right to the organic listings. So all 3 are pretty darned important, and it ultimately comes down to a client's budget and how aggressive they want to be to determine where we focus our time and energy. It is all of those are important strategically, and ideally, if you're aggressive, you want to have positions in all 3 for search phrases that are going to be relevant to your practice.
Right. The more real estate that you can have on that page one of Google, the more chance that your site's going to get clicked on.
Yeah, I would say though a couple of things. Number one is a lot of times our clients assume that a phrase that they believe is important is something that a lot of consumers type in, and the reality is that you don't, just because you know a particular practice or a particular type of work really well doesn't mean that your target audience, your prospective clients or patients will know that. And so it's important to really get the data up front as to how people are searching for certain services. And it's not always what you assume. And in fact, if you look at the high profile search phrases, in many cases, it's phrases that you would never suspect. The other thing that we've found is that targeting a single or even 2 or 3 or 5 specific search phrases only gets you part of the way there. To really be effective, you need to have content that will show up on a wide range of search phrases related to a particular topic. And so what I like to think about is a word cloud. And so where you might have a phrase, I'll use, personal injury lawyer. Let's say it's car wreck attorney. Well, there are a whole bunch of different phrases that are relevant to that. Car wreck attorney may or may not be the one in your market that is searched most frequently, but you want to show up for auto accident lawyer, auto accident attorney, personal injury lawyer, personal injury attorney, car accident law firm. I mean, there's a whole range of different phrases, and some of them might even be things like best accident attorney or something like that. And the only way you really know what is most important is by actually looking at your data, looking at your Google Search Console data, which is really where that is most relevant, and then targeting the cloud of phrases that are around that specific practice area. That's how you get the most bang for the buck.
And with all the content that you generate, is that what dictates you showing up on the map and the map pack too?
Content is certainly highly important. That's always the starting point. I mean, Google indexes content and then ranks it based on relevance, but it also ranks it based on how credible it is. And one of the ways that it determines credibility is how many other websites actually link to that specific page or that specific content. And so when you are really you're really hitting on all cylinders when you have not just great content on your site, but other webmasters, other websites, directories, informational sites, etc., linking back into that page as here's an authority, here's a resource that you should look at if you're looking for more information. So the starting point is always really deep, rich, meaningful, original content, but that only gets you so far. You still need to have links from other websites pointing to it, because that tells Google that your content is actually more valuable than another or a competitor's content.
And how much content are you producing for a typical dentist or doctor or lawyer in a month?
That's a great question, and it varies so much. We have clients who are in relatively small markets who they don't need a lot of content to have a dominant presence in the search results. We have other clients who are in larger markets but already ranking very well. They maybe don't need as much new content, and so what we then do is we really work on improving the quality of the content that is there, adding graphics, adding video, and things that are going to improve the conversions from the traffic that they're already getting. But of course, when you have a new practice or a practice that has not done well historically, the starting point, we believe, the foundation for all online marketing is really rich, deep content that answers those consumers' questions. So it depends on what stage you are in the practice as to how much you get. We have clients who, some months we'll do, 3, 4, 5 pages for them, or blog posts. Some of that content is on their site, some of that content is off their site. In some cases, we'll even do more. In some cases, we do less, and we work on the existing content.
So Dan, talk to me about some of the misinformation or myths or misunderstandings about SEO that people have.
Sure. Well, I kind of alluded to one earlier, which is that a lot of people just assume, hey, there's one big search phrase, and if you get that search phrase, you win the battle, even if you get nothing else. So you could show up for the phrase personal injury lawyer Denver, for instance. But a lot of people don't search for personal injury lawyer Denver, even if you're number one, and you may get a fair amount of traffic for being number one in the rankings for personal injury lawyer Denver. But if you also show up for a whole other range of search phrases that relate to the services that you target, other people are searching. In fact, many other people, the vast majority of people, are searching for a wider range of search phrases. So you end up doing better if you cover a wider net, so to speak, of phrases that are relevant to your practice versus targeting one or two narrow ones. I think the other thing that I would say most of our clients, particularly new clients, and I think this applies to most businesses, they assume that search engines like a switch. You pay some money, somebody does a few technical mumbo jumbo things on your website, and voila, all of a sudden you've got a top ranked page on Google. And the reality is it's not like that. It is a lot of hard work, research, taking the information you gather from that research and then applying it and doing that over and over again and working on specific things to improve the search rankings, to improve your traffic, to improve your conversions. All those things work together. And in some cases, in most cases, it takes several months. Sometimes it takes over a year to really get the full benefit of that. And then you have to keep doing it because your competition isn't standing still either.
That's right. Well, give me some examples of some businesses that you've worked with. What kind of problems did they have when they came to you? What were you able to do for them? And ultimately, what was the outcome for that business?
Sure. We have a number of examples. In fact, we've recently done a study that shows after we've redesigned a client's website, how that's improved traffic and lead generation, and those numbers are pretty dramatic. But in terms of a specific story that I can share, several years ago we had a plastic surgery client come to us. The client happened to be in the Denver market, and as I mentioned earlier, we cover a lot more than just Denver. But this client happened to be in Denver, which is always nice for us because then we have a lot more face time with the client. But they came to us and asked us to take over their website because it really wasn't performing very well and they weren't happy with the current web marketing provider. What happened was the current web marketing provider at the time, I guess, got angry and decided to take action in really an unethical way, at least what we would consider an unethical way, and they removed the client's website from the web. And so this client essentially had initially fairly poor performance overall anyway, but they dropped off the map 100% because their website was taken down. So we had to recover the website, rebuild it, and then obviously optimize it and get it to show up on the search engine. And we were able to do that. And this particular client, again, it's a plastic surgeon in Denver, now dominates. They are at the top of the search rankings, and they do a bunch of other things to generate business, from social media to video and all types of marketing. They really took our advice, and it's paid off handsomely for them. Now it's probably been about 7-8 years, and they are They're just continuing to thrive in a very competitive market.
Yeah, one of the things that people often have a problem with is sometimes the time that it takes SEO to be implemented and to start showing results. And if you are just if you're just patient and you stick with it and you're doing the right things, then it does eventually work for you. But speaking about that, what are some of the questions that a potential doctor, attorney, dentist should be asking a digital marketing company in order to know that they're working with the right ethical company to do the job for them?
I mean, that's a good question. And I think that a lot of that is just common sense. I guess the starting point for me would be, I think you need to, it's not even about specific questions. You have to be confident that you can trust the people who are going to be working on your website. And so the first thing that I would recommend is that they not just meet with the salesperson, but they actually meet with the rest of the team that'll be working on your site, on their site. And so one of the things that we do, and we build it into our contract, is we actually will give the client a credit of $800 to fly out to Colorado and meet with our staff for a day. Because we believe that if we do that, two things happen. Number one, we get a much better feel for what is important to that client. And then we focus all of our efforts on trying to achieve those results for that client. Number two, and equally important, the client really gets to understand not just the salesperson or their account manager, but they really get to know the people who are writing content or doing social media or doing the search engine optimization, so that they develop a level of trust that is more than just one layer deep. They see that there's a depth of resources to the organization. And we have a lot of confidence in our team. We have 40 people here in Colorado, and we're really proud of their expertise, and always encourage our clients to come out to learn from them and take advantage of that knowledge. We also have a team in India that does a lot of technical development work for us, and so we feel really confident in the depth of resources here. And to me, that's a crucial piece that any person who's considering hiring a website marketing company, whether it's for SEO or social media or what have you, that they really understand that the people behind the scenes are the ones that do the work, and make sure that they have confidence that that team knows what they're doing and is going to be able to get the job done.
Well, very good answer. And I'm sure not many web design or SEO or digital marketing companies do what you do and invite people to actually fly out and meet them, but it does do a lot for your client, being able to meet you and know the people that are working on their site, as well as, like you said, you get to meet them and you're dealing with a person that you've actually met. Obviously, you want to continue to do quality work for them, and it's definitely better for the relationship as well, which is excellent. Nice to hear that, Dan. Now, if people listen to this, want to reach out to you, Dan, what is the best way for them to do that?
For starters, go to our website, page1solutions.com. That's PHEE with the number 1, PHEE1 solutions.com. You can also email me, and that's at first name, last initial, DANG, Dan G, at page1solutions.com. And then you're also welcome to give us a call at any time. The main number here is 303-233-3886. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have that would help you in your practice.
Well, excellent. Dan Goldstein, he's the president of Page One Solutions in Colorado. Thank you very much for being my guest on the Trust Factor Radio today.
You're welcome, and I appreciate your having me. It was great.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
You've been listening to the Trust Factor Radio with Neil Howe. To learn about the resources mentioned in the show and to listen to past episodes, go to thetrustfactorradio.com. To get a copy of the book, The Trust Factor, go to thetrustfactorbook.com. If you are ready to act now and build your authority, credibility, and trust, schedule a consultation with Neil at theauthorityarchitect.com.